Bonjour, Kinamagi and Ine Ireland Adishnikas, and welcome to this production of the My Math Network. Today's lesson, Chapter 5, Lesson 9, Subtract Decimals, using models. If you have a paper copy available, this lesson begins on page 355. And it would be advisable to pause video and grab said papers. Otherwise, you should have something available to draw with, paper or dry erase board. The essential question in this lesson, how can I use place value and properties to add and subtract decimals? Yesterday, we used base 10 blocks. Today, we're drawing it as we move towards doing it with just numbers. Make sure you have an understanding of what these numbers mean. So we're going to begin on page 355, and we're going to use models. I do request that if you have the paper copy that you do fill in the models, as this will make it a little bit easier. And I'm going to use the annotation tool to do the same here. Want a lighter color to begin with. And the first thing I need to do when trying to find the difference of 2 and 4/10 minus 7 or 1 and 7/100 is I need to color in the 2.4. There's the first two. You should be doing this as well. If you have a paper copy, it doesn't necessarily have to be yellow, but I would make it a light color because you want to cross some things out. And we do have a question here. It says 4/10 is equal to how many small squares? Each of these columns is 1/10 because 10 of these columns equal that whole. And there are 10 squares on it. So 4 groups of 10 is 40. Okay, the next step, to subtract 1 and 7/100, I need to cross out one whole grid and 7/100. And I'm going to go back to my annotation tool here, and let's draw it using red for the contrast. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to eliminate this whole one. And then I need to eliminate 7 from here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So now all of a sudden, and we're going to copy these numbers in another spot, there's 1 left. This represents a whole number, 1. And then how many columns do I have? This represents the tenths, 1, 2, and 3. And then I have how many individual squares? Those are hundreds. There are 3 here. So on the next slide for me, your step 3, we're going to have 1.33. So let me go ahead. If you need to finish drawing this in, remember you may pause the video and then hit play when you're ready. Otherwise, I'm going to go ahead and clear. You can see they chose a different one. It really wouldn't have mattered which one I eliminated. And so now you see that we had the 1 whole one, the 3/10, and the 3/100, which gave us the 1.33 or 1 and 33/100. I can check my subtraction skills by doing the inverse or opposite operation. 1.07 plus 1.33, 2.4. So it does work. Go ahead and make sure these are filled in before we go to the top of the next page. If you need to pause the video, feel free to do such. Otherwise, we'll move on here. So we're on the try it. This now is the top of page 356. There are 3 steps you could see on my screen. We don't have quite everything that you have on your page, and that's okay. So 1 and 66 hundredths minus 84 hundredths. I'm gonna go back and grab my annotation tool so that I can draw this. And I do want yellow. I'm gonna model 1.66. I try to stay in the lines, but just like anybody else, I'm not perfect. There's a reason that if we need actual artwork in our classroom, someone else does it. I'm a steady guy. Terrible pen skills here. Now, when we get into the next part, I've done the whole. Now I need 6 columns because there's a 6 in the tenths. 1, 2, 3, Newen, Nanen, good was way. And now I need 6 squares. Page, niche, this way, Newen, Nanen, the good was way. So this represents 1 and 66 hundredths. Here's the whole, 6 columns, 6 squares. 66 hundredths is equal to, guess what? There's a hint here. 66. Small squares. Now my next step is going to subtract. I need to cross out 4 hundredths and 8 tenths, and I'm going to use red again. So let's get rid of the 4 hundredths first. Those are gone. And then I need to get rid of 8 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now I need to go back into this one. In essence, this is like regrouping. I had 6 gone. Here's the 7th. And here's the 8th. So now I do need to pay attention to the fact that I have 8 tenths over here, and then these 2, and I'm going to use a different color to remind myself there, to not forget those when I'm counting. It's a very common error that you might say, well, the answer is, well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rows, so that's 0.8. Oh, I'm done. But I forget about this over here. If you need more time to finish coloring this in and removing, feel free to pause your video. Otherwise, we're going to move forward. We'll clear those drawings. You'll see the textbook version. They did it similarly, except they started down here and I started up there. Distinction without a difference. Oh, I see a helpful hint. I see a helpful hint. If that sounds exciting, I should always look at the helpful hint. 8 tenths and 2 hundredths is equal to 82 hundredths per point, 0.82. Good to know. So when we looked, there were 0 ones. There were 8 tenths still in pink, well, yellow on mine, and there were 2 hundredths. So my answer, 0.82. Notice I just take these numbers. There's a decimal place between the whole numbers and the decimals. And you have the 82. I could check my work by adding 0.84 and 0.82, and it would in fact give me to 1.66 or 1 and 66 hundredths. This answer is correct. Go ahead and pause the video if you need more time to write these in. Otherwise, we will move forward. Explain how using models to find 2.4 minus 1.07 is similar to using models to find 240 minus 107. And if you were listening yesterday, remember that we had a square was worth 100 when we did whole numbers. The long piece was a 10. The little one was a 1. Well, basically, we divided all of those by 100. So we're going to use the exact same pieces. But now the full square, the 10 by 10, is worth 1 instead of 100. The long one with 10 is going to be worth a tenth instead of 10. And the individual square is going to be worth 1/100th instead of 1. All right, here's a couple you're going to practice. And we're going to do a total of 4, I believe. Okay. And we're going to start with numbers 2 and 3. I want you to first shade in this number and then subtract this. We're not going to go straight down and go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. We're going to go 2, 3, 6, and 7. That way we have some practice with regrouping. So go ahead, solve these. Let me pause your video now. Welcome back. Let's see how you did. We started with 93/100ths colored in. We got rid of 7/10. That left 2/10 and 3/100ths left, which is 0.23. 1.53 minus 1.41. We got rid of the 1. We got rid of 4/10, and we got rid of 1/100th. So we have, and this is where I would have done it differently. I would have erased one of the hundredths over here, so they could have kept a tenth and 2 1s or 2/100ths. Little easier visual, but that's not how they did it. There's 12 left, 12/100ths, 0.12. We're going to skip past the next two. You can see the answer if you want to look at it. 9/10 minus 3/10 is 6/10. Get rid of those. 3.94 minus 0.4. I got rid of 4/10. So I had 3 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 4. So 3, 5, 4, 3.54. Now here's something I want you to do. This does involve regrouping. I want you to do numbers 6 and 7. When you're done, you hit play and check your answers. You may pause your video now. Welcome back. Let's see how you did. 3.55 or 3 55/100ths minus 1/10. We got rid of the 1/10. So now we have 3 in 1, 2, 3, 4. There's your 4. And 5/100ths, 3.45 or 3 45/100ths. 2.4 minus 0.9, so 2 and 4/10 minus 9/10. You see I have my 2 and 4/10 colored in. I am going to get rid of 9/10. Those 4 are gone. These 5 are gone. That leaves me with 1 whole and 5/10, so 1.5. All right, let's check out the homework today. And this will be found in the Google as a Google form as well. Remember, I do try to copy and paste this and attach it with a silly question like, yes or no, because it has to be a question. On these ones, you're going to want to draw them on paper and then just type your answer in on the Google form. We have numbers 3 and 4 as well, so not a long assignment. If you have questions, please reach out to me. Hopefully this lesson has gone well for you. If you have any questions, reach out to me at mirln@sagchipschool.net. Otherwise, we'll see you live in our classroom. I'm a P.